Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of TBR. I'm George Binns, and as you notice, it's still election season. And we have with us this evening the candidate for Ward 4 School Committee, Lindsay Ducharme.
Lindsay, that's okay.
Lindsay,
that's okay.
And
you said the last name right, so that was good. That's the most challenging part.
Yeah. And so welcome. And
thanks.
So basically, the city's going to have challenges ahead. The school system, depending on how you look at it, it's okay, but it could be better kind of thing. And there are a whole bunch of issues that I think people are starting to talk about. So one of the questions, obviously, is you're going around knocking on doors because you got to get signatures on your application. And what are you hearing? What are the people talking about?
You know, it's interesting. I'm hearing a lot of questions. I'm getting a lot of questions. How did I feel about the strike? And I'm happy to answer those questions. But I'm also hearing a lot of people are ready to move forward from that. And I think it's kind of time to talk about the stuff that we should celebrate that is going well, and then time to have some maybe transparent conversations about what's not going well. And we hear from administration, probably rightfully so, that things are going really well, but we hear from teachers and families that things aren't going well. And there's got to be some truth in the middle there. So I think that what the community is asking for is some transparent conversations about some of those hard feelings and maybe frustrations. And maybe some of that is, you know, it's hard to get access to information, or they don't know why decisions are being made. You know, I mean, anybody can turn on a school committee meeting, but not everybody has time to sit there to watch a school committee meeting. A lot is covered. There's like CISL subcommittees and F&F subcommittees. And it's hard to stay informed. It's hard to understand the process. But I think people have real frustrations and real concerns, and I think those deserve some answers.
Yeah. So any specifics that they're picking at?
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, we hear from a lot of families. I'm a parent with 2 kids in special education, so I know I've had my experience with that. And I think that experience is not dissimilar to other families. And I think some of that is the system, and some of that is things that could have gone better here, right? But I think our educators are telling us that they have some concerns also. And I think we have a responsibility to respond to those, even if that means, you know, the administration is saying things are going really well. I don't have any reason not to believe that, but I think if there's some concern and frustration, I think we need to have transparent conversation. Well, why is it going well and we still have all of these concerns?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's one of the things, getting ready for these discussions, I started looking into, okay, how's Beverly rated? And depending on which web source I pick on, Niche is one of them, U.S. News and World Report is another one. Niche says Beverly's rated number 85 in the state, which ain't too bad out of 340 school systems. U.S. News and World Report says it's more like 185. So even with disinterested sources that are not part of the system, you get a wide disparity of answers. And one of the things that has popped out on some of these issues is you look at how the students are scoring on MCAS and so forth. And barely 50%, maybe a little over sometimes, depending on the grade, is the number of kids who are meeting minimum expectations. So that's saying there's a lot of kids that are not catching on. So that's another one of the ways to say, okay, there's a potential area that we need to focus on. And get around to one of my favorite concerns is we're going to have a push for an override. And part of the story you get is that, well, the cost of doing business for teacher's salary, for insurance and everything else is going up. So therefore, the system needs more money. But at the same token, those same effects are impacting the people that have to make the payment. So what you do in your household is, well, we cut back. We don't always get all that extra chocolate or something. So I think part of the concern is, how do we get to the point of looking at the system in detail, like you're indicating, and say, well, this is nice to do, but it doesn't produce much. And what are we measuring it against?
Yeah, so I think on the subject of an override, I've been asked whether or not I would support that. I have a little skin in the game. I have 2 kids, right? I have one going into 6th grade and one going into 9th grade. I can't believe he's in high school at Essex Tech. I think the subject of an override is something that the community needs to decide about. The community needs to decide whether or not fiscally that makes sense on an individual basis and as a community. But I think if we do that, my concern is, while I feel like we have no option but to give that to the community, my concern is that we have a lot of people in our community that would be really negatively impacted by that.
Yeah.
I do believe there's a way, I'm not an override specialist, but I do believe there's a way to sort of structure it so that it's not going to negatively impact folks that would be taxed out of the city, or folks that this would be a tremendous burden for. It would be, I'm not going to lie, it would be an adjustment. I'm a single mom. It would be an adjustment for me. But I think before we even get to that point, we have to have a clear understanding of where the money's going to go, right? Like, you can't just throw money at a problem and expect that it's going to solve the problem. And an override, while I would love to see it go to the schools, I have some thoughts and ideas. I know the teachers and maybe the administration does as well. We have an entire city to consider, right? And the students and the teachers that travel to get to school need to still travel on the sidewalk, still need to drive down the road. And so I think we need to have not just transparency around what that override would contemplate, but are we even to the point where we even know what that would be for? We have some ideas, but I think we've got to, I don't know what work we've even done, just to be honest, I don't even know what work we've done to really establish, if we had that money, where exactly should that money go? And who are the stakeholders that are making those decisions, right?
Yeah.
So while I think we really don't have a choice except to give that opportunity to the public and to the community, I'm not even sure that we're even close to that point, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that's come out, is that, yeah, it sounds like a good idea to have an override, but we can't make it happen in this election cycle.
Yeah, I think it takes a
And
long time, yeah.
It's going to be a burden on the city council to, what do we do about a budget next year,
Right.
when they may or may not have an election, a special election for an override. But at the same time, what issues at the city level, where can we tighten our belt, so to speak,
Yeah.
at the city level? It's not
Yeah.
just a school problem, it's a citywide
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned, that the roads and sidewalks are the ones that get cut back. We'll do that with free
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
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 So it's
Yeah.
a nebulous kind of situation, and I think your point is well taken, that we need a heck of a lot more transparency.
Yeah, and I sometimes wonder, just in conversation with folks, I wonder if, like, so we understand the budget process is basically like this. The superintendent, the administration meets with the building leaders, the principals. Together, they come up with a budget that makes sense for each individual schools. And similarly, the superintendent does that with food services, with transportation, and together, the superintendent comes up with a budget that essentially then gets presented to the school committee. And I'm not sure that what we're talking about is just transparency. I think what we're also talking about is a feeling that people need to feel maybe like they have a little bit more participation in the process. One of the things that I hear that keeps coming up is the librarian at the elementary schools. When my kids went to Hannah, I realized very quickly, like, this is the elementary school that hosts the language-based classrooms, kids that have, generally speaking, language-based learning differences, come here or want to come here, but we don't have a librarian. And there's a lot of problems with that. For me, I think it's kind of an equity issue. I do want to say I know the bookmobile goes by Hannah, and I think the building principal over there does a great job making sure that kids do have access to the library. And I think together with volunteers, she does a great job of making sure that kids do have access to it. But I think there's a lot more to that. And I remember having a conversation with her, this is years ago, so I don't know if her answer would still be the same. But I said, why don't we have a librarian? Her response was, well, if I had that money, I would rather use that money, and I'm paraphrasing her response, I would rather use that money to sort of curate a library for each individual classroom that meets the needs and the levels of those kids in that classroom. And in my mind, I was thinking, why are we choosing? Why is it if this or that? And I think also, while she has to make those tough decisions, I don't think the reason behind those tough decisions are transparent. We keep using the word transparent, but maybe the families that go to that school don't necessarily agree with that thought process. So is there a way for families to have some input in that? And I don't know what that is. I don't know what the solution to that is, but I think we can at least have a conversation about whether or not we're meeting the desires and values of the families that go to that school. I also want to say that the building principal has to not just think about the families that are there at one time, but all the families that come through there, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're building a budget, you're thinking short term and you have to think long term as well, right? So.
Well, there's a function that the PTO should take up as to, hey, we the parents think this, whatever that is, and there should be that kind of a very open and frank discussion between the PTO and the principal.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is a lot of us parents, my 3 kids went through the system and 3 of my grandchildren graduated from high school, so I'm well aware of the system, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have an idea of what we think an education is based on what we went through. And the world has changed dramatically. I went through mostly the parochial school system, and you have one nun in the front of the class and 40 kids. And she did not have a problem with any kids twice.
Yeah.
You never had the second problem.
Really secure classroom management.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that technique is frowned upon even in the parochial schools now. But that was the way it was. That's what we think of as an education, as a system. And I think part of the problem is, what are they doing now? Where are they going? And one of the things I'd love to see the city get involved with is AI. And you can't avoid it. It's coming.
I'll be honest and tell you it's an area that worries me. And I'm not a big adopter of it. I talk to colleagues and clients and friends and family members that are all widely open to using it and use it on a regular basis. And I probably should use it a little bit more than I do. Maybe it would make me more effective at my job. I think that we, as a society, and I don't know that Beverly is going to be able to independently make this decision, and we would, of course, need input from DESE. We can't make all these decisions ourselves. I think it's something that is obviously not going away, and we need to understand it. I'm not the person to understand it, but I think that we have really talented, smart people who do understand it and who do understand the concerns around it. And I think we should take those seriously and, teach our kids. And I think some of this is already happening. I want to make sure that we're crediting the good people that are already doing good work. I know that at the high school, the teachers can recognize when a kid is used like AI to write a term paper or respond to like a book report or something. But I wonder, I don't know, I'm curious about this. What are we doing to teach kids to be highly critical of the information that's presented to them, right? So, but I think it is a tool that can be used to increase efficiency. It's never going to replace a human being, and I think that's part of everybody's concern. But I think it's we used to teach typing in school, right? Because we knew that computers weren't going away. I think it is something that we're going to need as a district some guidance on for sure. So I would like to see what DESE has to say about that.
Who's DESE?
So DESE is the body that sort of oversees the school performance, school spending. It's a body that oversees school operations.
Is it independent or is it part of the state or what?
I think it's part of the state.
Oh, it's the
Yeah, I wish I could answer
Department of
that.
Education.
It's the Department of Education. It's like Department of Elementary and Secondary Education.
Yeah.
But they really do. It is the body that sort of sets a lot of the standards that we as a district have to meet, not just ours, but all of them. It tracks and makes available information. So on a comparative basis, we can look at other districts. But like, for example, we couldn't just introduce AI as a foreign language, for example. We would need DESE to either approve that or volunteer that as an opportunity.
Yeah, that's
But
what
I mean, it is an interesting subject. And I think, a lot of people are really talking about it.
Well, there's a couple of issues that bother me about this thing is that I had to take French in high school. I had to take Latin too. And I survived.
Seems like you still have some hard feelings about it, though.
Yeah, but it's not my bag,
Yeah.
But in this day and age, if you want to teach a foreign language, why not a computer language, C++, and give students credit for
Yeah.
learning a foreign language?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's something that I certainly think we should be curious about. I have to be honest and say that I don't know if that's the space for it as a foreign language. I don't know if that's the space for it. But I certainly think that there could be a space somewhere in the curriculum for education and understanding around AI capabilities, sort of the pros and the cons, right? Whether or not it's a foreign language, I'm not really sure. But I think like many other things computer related, it's not going away, and it is something that we have a responsibility to make sure kids really understand.
Well, one of the things that surprised me is I Google a lot of stuff because I see phrases I don't understand and all that kind of thing. And lately, at the top of the Google answer is AI influenced.
Yeah.
And you
I've
get a
noticed that
long
also.
paragraph of stuff instead of 6 words.
Yeah.
So whether we like it or not, we're getting it.
Yep. I've
And
noticed that also, yeah.
So it's here. And one of the concerns I think I have is that some teachers are, like you were saying, they're checking a term paper or a report. And if it's obviously that was done by AI, big X, do it right this time. But at the same time, you get into a company like Meta, when they are hiring somebody, they give them a test to write a program according to solve this problem. And they are allowed to use AI on that test because it's, as you indicated, it simplifies things and gets you started and gets you on the right track early on. And then you bring in your human abilities to fine-tune it and make it work right. And I think this is an attitude shift that has to be permeated through the system. And one of the things I looked up, one of these, is a program called Alpha School. It's actually 2 schools right now. One's in Texas, another one's in Florida. $40,000 a year. So it's a private school, very expensive. But they are deeply into using AI. And whether we could do something like that in Beverly or some of the things, because some of what they are doing sounds like they're using AI to come up with an IEP, an individual education plan for every student. And more and more they're getting into tailoring the program that's being presented to the kids, depending on where the kids is and where the kids are going. So, I mean, there's a lot of...
I think there's some efficiency in there. How effective it is, I'm curious about that. But I think there's some efficiency there. As long as we're not losing track of the really important human element of review, like say I'm a chairperson for a special education meeting and I have to develop the IEP. If I have the ability, and I'm kind of talking out loud here, but I'm just thinking if that chairperson has the ability to draft an IEP using AI to save some time, I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that personally, as long as there's really thorough review by the person that's ultimately writing it. Like, I mean, I write white papers for work. Say I write a white paper for work. I can't just use AI to write the white paper for me and then release it without reviewing it and making sure that it truly is the words and the voice that I want to portray, right? So as long as we're not losing, in that example, the really important human element. I wanted to go back to your point about when you put in a Google search and AI sort of, it's like it's summarizing the response to your question. And what I'm curious about is how is it making the decision about what to include in that response and what not to include? Because if if you put in something into a Google search, you could get all kinds of responses.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that we tell kids all the time and that we have to be mindful of as adults is making sure that you're getting that information from a reputable source. But is the AI tool only using reputable sources? So, I mean, I've relied on those for like an initial response to a question a few times as well. But again, like I'm just curious, is it a substitution for doing the research yourself? I don't know, because we don't really know. I'm sure somebody knows, but we don't really know what it's choosing to use in that summary and what they're choosing to disregard, right?
I did a test one time just for the heck of it. Years ago, I read a book, The Armada by Garrett Mattingly. I was fascinated by it. Another long story.
I haven't read it, but
no,
yeah, okay.
It's a story for engineers. They got into all sorts of things, but anyway.
Okay.
And I went on to Google and said, what about the Armada? Okay. And it came up with an answer. And fine. And it didn't ring a bell with me compared to what I remember of the book. So I got another chatbot and had asked it the same question and got a different answer.
Isn't that interesting?
And neither one of them agreed with what I remembered from the book.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So it's the point you're making is a valid one that that's part of the game of, they call it critical thinking.
Yeah, you need to be able to discern the information, the feedback that you're getting, right?
Yeah.
And then to question where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Right. Is the Armada, was that a ship?
No, it was
Okay, never mind.
the Armada was the battle that Spain was going to invade England.
Okay, I knew this.
And there was a fleet that was sent up the channel to cover the troop ships that were going across the channel because the troop ships weren't armed. And an open ocean, they would be sitting ducks. So they had a fleet to protect them. And long story short, it never worked.
No, that's okay. It's starting to sound familiar to me. And for a minute, I was embarrassed that I didn't know what it was. But
Yeah.
it's starting to sound familiar.
Yeah. But these are, I think, the kinds of issues that have to be brought up. And I don't know where you start with
I think
the school committee.
I think we have to start by just talking about them, right? And asking the challenging questions, right?
Yeah, it's a new tool. How do you use it? How do you teach the kids to use it?
Yeah.
And
And like you said, it's not going away.
no, and unfortunately, the time is going away.
Oh, okay.
We're down to the point where it's your show. You got your
I
camera.
get to make my pitch?
Yes.
Okay, great. Is the camera going to zoom in on me now? Okay, so I'm Lindsay Ducharme. I'm running for Ward 4 School Committee. I guess I want to just say transparently that I know I don't have an opponent, but I know that I need to do the work to earn the vote. And so what I want to say is, if elected, I promise to be comfortable with not knowing what I don't know, but still taking responsibility for that. I think we can't all know everything. I don't know what it's like to be in a classroom, but I feel like I have the responsibility to understand that and to hear from the voices of those that are in the classroom. I've said to a lot of people and anybody who's watching this, for all the people that will watch this, I'm sure that people have heard me say, and I will say it now, the teachers that are in the classroom with my kids 180 days of the year spend more time with them than I do. And so their voice really matters. And I want to hear from them. I do hear from them. I hear you. And I think it's really important to not just hear you, but respond to you. And so my commitment is to take that role really responsibly. Remember that, yes, I do represent the teachers in the classroom, but I also represent the families that live in Ward 4, and I hope to be a reflection of what your values are, and to take very seriously what your concerns and your desires for Beverly are. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And
Thanks for having me.
again, this is going to be a long season of,
Got a lot of work ahead of us.
yeah.
Some challenging,
And,
challenging
the
talks.
fun begins once you get on the school board,
Yeah.
and that'll be what, in January, I guess.
Yeah, so elections happen in November,
Yep.
and then you get officially sort of sworn in January.
Yeah.
So,
And again, you start out with forming a budget.
Yep.
And
you form a budget, you oversee the superintendent, and you set the policies. Those
Yeah.
are our three main
so
responsibilities.
that gives me another challenge. There's a new superintendent, so not sure where he's coming from, although he has been a guest on my show.
Yeah, I
and,
saw that, yeah.
He's
Yeah.
got a tough road to hoe with
Yeah,
coming off a 13-day strike.
yeah,
That not sure what the residuals are.
yeah.
What didn't get resolved by just
Yeah.
a new pay scale, and
Yeah.
I don't know what else was buried in the contract.
Yeah. I'm
So-
optimistic.
Yeah,
I'm optimistic.
yeah. So it'll be an interesting time.
It will be an interesting time.
Yeah, that's the old Chinese curse to be born in interesting times. Yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching us this evening. And as I mentioned, my email address is in the credits before and after the show. And if you got a concern, write me an email, send me a comment. And if you have a longer story you want to tell, there's room for you here at the table. And thanks again for watching us this evening, and stay tuned, we'll be back.